Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Shift with Gina. As you know by now, this podcast is an accompaniment to my women's group called The Shift, hosted on Mighty Networks. So if you are a woman and you're looking for an online community where we can work out together 3 times a week, we're going to actually be adding a 4th weekly workout. And if you're looking for an online community that wants to do health challenges together, always learning more about hormonal health, your menstrual cycle, fertility, we always have exclusive interviews with certain health experts. So that's the place to get all of the exclusive content is myhealthshift.com, or you can just click the link in the description here. We just finished up a really great fertility series, and some of what we're going to talk about today is related to the exclusive content that we offer in The Shift. So if you're a woman, click and join. We're always doing fun challenges together too. We're about to start a strength training challenge that's going to go on for 4 weeks. So if you need a little kick in the butt to start working out more often, this is the place for you. Today, we're going to talk about some breaking news. The FDA has approved the first birth control pill that will be available over the counter. No prescription for this birth control pill. And of course, this is being marketed as a monumental moment in American history. They're, of course, trying to frame this as a step forward in reproductive rights, which those words don't mean anything. There's no such thing as reproductive rights. It's just a propaganda term that has been successfully distributed throughout society by feminists to make women believe that they somehow have, a right to kill their own baby or something. Just complete nonsense. But the FDA has approved this very first birth control pill that goes by O-pill for over-the-counter sale. This just happened on Thursday. So this approval allows O-pill, which comes in the form of a tablet, to be sold in a variety of drugstores, convenience stores, and grocery stores. So you could walk into a Kroger, a Walmart, CVS. I'm sure you probably have to be over 8. Actually, who knows if you have to be over 18? I would assume that you'd have to be over 18. But then again, doctors prescribe the birth control pill to 14, 15-year-olds. But this FDA approval is it's going to mark the very first time that a non-prescription daily oral contraceptive will be an available option for millions of people in the United States. That's a quote from the director of the FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Patricia Cavazzoni. She added that when used as directed, daily oral contraception in the form of O-pill is, quote, safe and expected to be more effective than currently available non-prescription contraceptive methods in preventing unintended pregnancy. It's manufactured by Perrigo, which is Dublin-based. It is a progestin-only pill. So also another term that you may hear is the mini pill. The mini pill refers to a birth control pill that contains synthetic progesterone, which is called progestin. Very different than the natural progesterone that your body produces through your menstrual cycle. However, it does not contain synthetic estrogen. And this is what sets it apart from other conventional, common, popular birth control pills. That's why it's referred to as the mini pill. So it has no synthetic estrogen in it. And that means that it's going to have some slightly different side effects. It's obviously going to produce less zero synthetic estrogen in the body, which is a good thing. But when you have just progestin being pumped into the body, that still overrides your natural hormonal cycle. So when you are a young, healthy woman during your childbearing years, you have natural rises and falls of estrogen, progesterone throughout your cycle, depending on when you have your period, when you ovulate. And when you take the pill, any form of the pill, whether it's the mini pill or the pill containing synthetic estrogen, you do not ovulate and you do not have that normal hormonal cycle that you would if you weren't taking the pill. And I've talked about this in many episodes at this point. So if you've listened to any of my other content, you know that we've gone into this in great detail in the past. I mean, I'll just go over it quickly. That's not good for you. It is not good for you when you don't ovulate and menstruate regularly. Another reminder that when you take the birth control pill, like even the mini pill, like this, you don't have your actual period. This is something that a lot of women need to understand. You don't have a period when you're on the pill. And a lot of women say, no, I bleed. When I stop taking the pill and I take the placebo, I bleed. Yeah, that's not your period. That's called a withdrawal bleed. It's a withdrawal bleed from the hormones that you were taking in the pill. And so when you take your placebo, the whole purpose of taking the placebo is that you have a quote period, but it's not actually your period. Again, like I said in the last episode, a lot of women take the pill thinking that it has cured their menstrual problems. It has cured their severe PMS because the period they get is much more manageable. There's less pain. The cycle is regular. That's because it's not your cycle. Not your cycle. It's fake synthetic pseudo hormones that have overridden your natural hormonal cycle and are producing a withdrawal bleed. So back to this press release, the FDA released a press release, saying all this information about how it's such a great thing for American society. So this is what they say. I'm reading from the press release now. Almost half of the 6.1 million pregnancies in the U.S. each year are unintended. Unintended pregnancies have been linked to negative maternal and perinatal outcomes, including reduced likelihood of receiving early prenatal care and increased risk of preterm delivery, with associated adverse neonatal, developmental, and child health outcomes. Availability of non-prescription Opill may help reduce the number of unintended pregnancies and their potential negative impacts. So the wording here is very, very important. So the way that they frame it is that, so what's the problem here? The problem here, as the FDA is laying out, is unintended pregnancies. Now, anytime you have a sort of quote problem like this, the conventional medical system never treats the root cause. We can kind of use that as an analogy here. It never treats the root cause and instead just treats the symptoms with pharmaceuticals. Because unintended pregnancies, we have been taught successfully by the programming in our society, we've been taught that the only solution to unintended pregnancy is pharmaceutical. Because we've been taught that the pill is the only answer to unintended pregnancies. So right away, we've set women up for failure. We have taught them, we've lied to them and told them that the only way to successfully prevent pregnancy is to take some kind of pharmaceutical and pump your body full of synthetic hormones because you're not able to prevent pregnancy on your own. It's too dangerous. It's too risky to prevent pregnancy on your own. And then on top of that, you ever notice how the conventional medical system always makes pregnancy sound like a disease you don't want to catch? They always make pregnancy sound like some sort of huge illness that's going to ruin your life. Whatever you do, don't get pregnant. You don't want to fall pregnant. And this is part of the successful propaganda that has taken over our society from the sexual revolution, even back to first wave of feminism. And so women have been convinced women are now scared of getting pregnant, and that's why they'll do anything. They'll take anything that the doctors give them. And then you couple that with the God complex that doctors have been given. Doctors know anything and everything. They know everything about your cycle. The fact of the matter is very few of them actually know about your hormonal cycle, and very few of them actually understand that the birth control pill overrides your natural hormones and gives you fake hormones. There's a lot of doctors right now, and I've interviewed many of them. They do not even know the difference between progesterone and progestin. That is deeply embarrassing. They don't know the difference. And they're handing out the pill to 14 and 15-year-old girls because they're complaining that they have, I got a heavy period and I have cramps. Good, so take the pill. Let's shove some synthetic hormones down your throat. So unintended pregnancies is a problem, right? According to the FDA and according to our society. We don't want women to have unintended pregnancies. Okay, I can understand that, right? If you want women to be intentional about when they're going to get pregnant, you want women to be intentional about who they're having sex with and when they become mothers. I can get on board with that. Yeah, I want more women to have children, and I want them to have children in a successful environment. So yeah, I would like to see fewer accidental pregnancies as well. I think that would actually be good for society. Yeah, sure. But why are we jumping straight to pharmaceuticals all the time? That's like the only answer to unintended pregnancies. Always. Why is that? I mean, we know the answer. It's because it is an incredibly lucrative business to sell the pill. And now that it's over the counter, they can make even more money off of it. Because any girl can just walk into Walmart and be like, hey, I'd like the pill, and pay however much money for it. And none of these doctors, none of these pharmaceutical companies, the public health organizations ever talk about how women can naturally prevent their pregnancy very successfully. In fact, women have been discouraged to try to naturally prevent their pregnancy because they've been told that it doesn't work, it's not worth the risk. And the reason why it is hard for so many women to naturally prevent pregnancy is because you kind of need a natural regular cycle that has a normal rhythm, so that you know when your period's going to come, so that you can track when you're ovulating and track biomarkers like your basal body temperature, your cervical mucus. You can test with ovulation strips. And in order for all of these biomarkers to really make sense, you kind of need a regular normal period. And what is the foundation of a regular normal period each month? Good health. What does the average American woman's lifestyle look like? Not very healthy. Addicted to screens, never really going outside, eating a lot of ultra processed foods that are very low in nutrients, getting poor sleep, taking pharmaceuticals, not really drinking much water. If they are drinking water, it's full of toxins from the tap. So you have a lot of women who are extremely unhealthy. So of course they're going to have periods that are irregular, which makes it really hard to naturally prevent pregnancy because you don't have that constant rhythm each month. That makes it much easier to predict and also to gather information from your body about when your period's coming, when you're going to ovulate, because you're only fertile a couple of days out of every month. Yes, sperm can live inside your body for up to 5 to 7 days. But if you know when your fertile window is coming, you can work around all that. You can prevent pregnancy. When natural family planning is done correctly, it's, what they say, 99% effective. That's because you can only get pregnant when you're fertile. So if you track when you're fertile and you put all the pieces together, it's successful. But women are discouraged from learning about their natural bodies and their natural cycles. It's not something that we're ever taught from a young age. If you're a woman and you're listening, think to yourself, when you were young, were there any teachers or even adults, parents, doctors who sat you down and explained to you how your cycle worked, the difference between menstruation and ovulation, and when you're actually fertile, what your fertile window means? Did anybody explain that to you? Nobody explained it to me when I was growing up. And most women that I talk to or interview and survey, hardly any of them were taught this information at a young age. So from our youth, from a very young age, we have been programmed to believe that the only way to prevent unintended pregnancy is to take the pill. And this is a prerequisite for the FDA in this press release. It's a prerequisite to believe that the only way to solve unintended pregnancies is to take the pill. Another way to help solve unintended pregnancies and have fewer unplanned pregnancies? Less hookup culture. That's something that we don't want to talk about because heaven forbid, we say this out loud. We're not allowed to say this in our society today. We're supposed to give women empowerment and freedom and, quote, liberty to do whatever they want, sleep with whomever they want, sleep with however men they choose to, because you're free, girl. Yeah, you go, girl. You sleep around. Yeah, you go hoe yourself. And so, of course, you're going to have all these women who are getting knocked up. And if they don't want to get knocked up, they got to take the pill because that's the only way. So there's so many societal factors, too, that make it impossible for women to consider any other alternative to preventing pregnancy than the pill. The pill and the sexual revolution are welded together. They go hand in hand. The pill would not have become nearly as popular as it is today if we did not experience a sexual revolution that meant to supposedly liberate women from this idea of a monogamous marriage and one man that you have sex with for the rest of your life. Because that's just so oppressive, isn't it? So oppressive. So of course, we have to give you a synthetic pill to screw up your hormones, wreck your gut, make you fat, make you depressed, also make you attracted to feminine men. Don't forget all the research showing that the pill makes women attracted to girly men, to basically gay dudes. So then There's a lot of stories like this. Women who are taking the pill for 5 to 7 to 10 years, whatever, while they were single in their 20s, they get married at 30, 31 while they're on the pill. And then when they're married, they're like, oh, you know what? I think I'd like to have a baby. They get off the pill and they turn and look at their husband and realize that he's totally unattractive to them. They don't like his smell because taking the pill changes the way that you're attracted to men, and it makes men's pheromones smell different to you. I'm not pulling this out of thin air. There's actually been research on this. There is a psychiatrist, I think her name is Sarah Hill. I'll put her information in the description so you can click on the link. I've written articles on this. Like, the pill actually makes women attracted to feminine men. And so you have a lot of these women who get off the pill when they're married. They look at the man they married. They're like, I actually don't like you very much. I don't like your smell. I'm not attracted to you. So let's just get divorced. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny because this is what's actually happening. And, you know, reading through this press release from the FDA, it makes the O pill sound like the absolute best thing to happen to America since sliced bread. You know, oh, this oral contraceptive, it's going to be the best non-prescription drug that you can get to help you not get knocked up. It's safe and effective. Yeah, no, the pill is not safe and effective. Okay, let's just go over quickly some of the most common side effects of the pill. First of all, remember that the birth control pill is classified as a group 1 carcinogen. It's a major endocrine disruptor that can lead to chronic gut issues and massive nutrient depletion. Okay, so the synthetic hormones in the pill have been associated with increased risks of heart attacks and blood clotting since the 1960s. Further potential adverse effects include liver tumors, increased risk of Crohn's disease and any other irritable bowel syndrome, likelihood of being prescribed antidepressants, and of course, depletion of vital nutrients that are necessary for mood stability, maintaining pregnancy, and regular menstrual cycles. So there's been some practitioners online who say that when they treat women who have been on the pill for a long time, some of the most common things they see are deep-rooted fungal infections like candida, this buildup of candida. And then they also see women dealing with chronic headaches, fatigue, gut issues like we talked about, weight gain, low libido, anxiety and depression, liver congestion, PCOS. The pill basically causes PCOS in women. And infertility too. It's a very commonly overlooked one. Nobody likes to talk about the connection between the pill and infertility. And now they're giving the pill away at Kroger, at Walgreens. You just walk in and say, hey, I would like a synthetic pill that's going to make me infertile, please. No prescription needed. Welcome to the upside down. Welcome to clown world. I'm telling you, they hate women. This depopulation agenda is going swimmingly for them. It's going so great. It's just swell. It's working beautifully. You know, you've convinced all these women that the absolute worst thing for them is the most empowering thing for them. Taking the birth control pill every single day, ruining your gut, making yourself mentally ill, hooking up with a bunch of random dudes. Yeah, that's going to make you feel free and liberated, girl. All of the worst things you could possibly do as a woman have been marketed as the most empowering, freeing things for women. Literally the upside down, where right is wrong and wrong is right. I say that term a lot and it's kind of funny, but it's also not. It's quite depressing because women have been successfully convinced that what's right is wrong and wrong is right. And you know, a lot of times it's not even so much that I blame these women, because these women have been brought up on this from a very young age. It's all they were taught from a very, very young age. The programming has been successful from all different angles, from school, from public school to Hollywood, to all the TV shows and movies that women grew up watching. And then you get on social media and they're bombarded with those messages all the time. Everywhere they look, these are the messages that they've been given. The worst things for you are marketed as the best things for you. So if you want to learn more about how to get off the pill or how to naturally prevent pregnancy, we give all that information in my women's group, The Shift. Click the link in my description or go to myhealthshift.com. If you guys are liking these episodes, I just ask that you share them around. You know, I don't do ads on here. I just use this as a way to give you guys some extra information about women's health, and also help direct you to our group where we do a lot more. We do a deeper dive into these topics and bring in some really great experts. to talk more about them. The last thing I wanted to talk about today, which is really funny, is the MSNBC Twitter account tweeted an article from last year that kind of went viral last year, and it has gone viral again. And I just think this is a really funny headline. The headline is, "Pandemic fitness trends have gone extreme, literally. White supremacists' latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital." Look at that. Look at if you're just listening to this, the cover photo for this article is like in the background. It's all these Nazis doing the Hail Hitler sign. And then like drawn over it is this white dude's bicep. Like he's flexing his bicep. This is so funny to me. Look at that. Oh man. This article gave me a really good laugh. So I want to read a couple of the things. So this is a quote from like the third paragraph. "Physical fitness has always been central to the far right. In Mein Kampf, Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing they could help him create an army of millions whose aggressive spirit and impeccably trained bodies, combined with fanatical love of the fatherland, would do more for the German nation than any mediocre tactical weapons training." I mean, you guys you couldn't even get through 4 paragraphs without talking about Hitler. Nobody loves talking about Hitler more than progressives. Okay, I'll rephrase that. Nobody loves talking about Hitler more than progressive journalists. They love to talk about Hitler. They absolutely love to talk about him. There's some other really great quotes in here. So they're talking about all of these like gyms that are recruiting people to this far right agenda, blah, blah, blah. And so here's a really great quote too. "The intersection of extremism and fitness leans into a shared obsession with the male body, training, masculinity, testosterone, strength, and competition." They're honestly making the far right sound awesome. This sounds like the far right sounds so cool. Physical fitness training, especially in combat sports, appeals to the far right for many reasons. Fighters are trained to accept significant physical pain, to be warriors, and to embrace messaging around solidarity, heroism, and brotherhood. That sounds so cool. Like they're making far right extremists sound so cool. At this point, that's why like all the people, especially like the fitness people on Twitter, the fitness bros on Twitter, it's like, you just accept the label by now. Like, oh, am I a far right extremist for doing pull-ups in my gym or going to jiu-jitsu? Yeah, great. Okay, sure. I love being a far right extremist. Like at this point, just accept the labels and just own it, because it's just it makes no sense now. Like, oh, you're a far right extremist because you go to jiu-jitsu and you want to train to accept significant physical pain. I also think it's really funny that they say that the far right has always had an obsession with fitness. Like Michelle Obama, when her husband was in office, her whole thing for a while was fitness with kids. And it failed miserably. Like she had this whole campaign of, what was it called? It was like Get Fit with Kids or something. I forgot what it's called. Let's see. Michelle Obama Fit campaign. Michelle Obama's Let's Move. It was called Let's Move. And she like went out to all these schools and played basketball and danced with kids. And she was trying to get them to work out more and be fit. So I guess Michelle Obama is like a based far right extremist. And then she like replaced all the kids' school lunches with like celery sticks and carrots. And then also JFK, he wrote, what was the article he wrote? JFK, Softness of America or something. This was in the 50s. When was it? This was in 1960. It was called The Soft American. He wrote an article about his concern over the loss of physical vigor that would compromise the nation's ability to defend itself in war and prosper during peacetime. So Kennedy, so JFK is a far-right extremist. Like, I can't believe that they're actually making it sound bad that we would want a country full of very strong, physically aggressive men. Of course, that's what we want. So yes, I would love some more far-right extremists in our country, please. Yeah, the article was called The Soft American. He wrote, this is a quote, "Physical fitness is the basis of all the activities of our society. And if our bodies grow soft and inactive, if we fail to encourage physical development and prowess, we will undermine our capacity for thought, for work, and for the use of those skills vital to an expanding and complex America." The most important thing he says here is that physical fitness, failing to be physically fit will undermine our capacity for thought. That is a very, very important phrase because, these progressives, they look at people working out and someone like even Mark Zuckerberg, he's now really into MMA and fighting and he's gotten really ripped. And they think it's just this shallow thing, like this vain, shallow thing. Being physically strong is what makes you smart. I don't even need to go into the research that when you're obese and very unhealthy, it lowers your IQ. It makes you dumber, which is exactly why progressives want people to be fat. That's why the government wants you to be fat, because you're easier to brainwash, you're easier to control, you're compliant. So that's why they come up with all of these ridiculous articles claiming that being fit and wanting to be physically aggressive as a man is somehow like a far right extremist thing. And they even say this in terms of women. And so it's coming at men and women, but it's just delivered in a different way. When it's delivered to women, we see on the cover of women's magazines, we see the very obese girls. They say this is healthy, blah, blah, blah. So they don't want women to be thin and healthy either, because then they would be much harder to control. They would be smarter. They'd be more independent. They'd be more likely to want to get married and have children. So this is a really important distinction that Kennedy wrote here in 1960. You have to be physically fit in order to have a strong capacity for thought and for work. He said that in 1960, but those words are timeless. And today we want to pretend like the way that you look is not at all related to your productivity, to what kind of citizen you are in the world. We want to pretend like the way that you look doesn't reflect your values at all, when it does. Now, I'm not saying that the way that you look determines everything about you, but nobody can deny that generally the way that somebody looks is often, it sends a very accurate message of who they are, which is why all the libs, the shrieking women at the women's marches with the blue hair and the pussy hats, they're overweight, they're unattractive. They're not ugly because they're like born ugly. They're ugly because they make themselves look ugly. They wear ugly clothes. Their skin looks bad because they're like vegans or whatever. They dye their hair stupid colors and they don't take care of themselves and they smell. They don't shave their armpits. Yeah, that's reflective of your broken values. So I do want to live in a country that has physically aggressive men and healthy women who are beautiful and not fat. Because a society that has that very likely has strong values and has a capacity to be very productive. So that's what I would like to see. I just think it's really funny that they try to say that fitness is far right. So I guess, Michelle Obama, you are far right extremist. Welcome. But the best part of this article is they make far right extremism sound so cool. Like, look, listen to this. Recruits are encouraged to link individual moral virtues such as willpower, decisiveness, and courage with desired collective traits such as virility and manliness. That sounds awesome. This is why, you can't tell what's parody these days and what's not. This is MSNBC, so this is par for the course. I mean, they have really made far-right extremism sound so cool. They've made fascism sound so cool. Sign me up. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. If you are a woman and you want to join my women's group, and if you're a guy listening, if you have a sister or a girlfriend or a wife who wants to get fit, have them click the link in my description, send them the link, go to myhealthshift.com. In my group, we are not focused on, getting shredded and getting a six-pack. I have a lot of women from different walks of life in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even women in their 60s who are in my group. We are just focused on feeling your best, treating your body well, so that you can set a good example for your family and your friends, and eventually set a good example for your community and your country, because it matters. The way that you treat your body and your health matters. It has massive ripple effects on the rest of your community and society. So take care of yourselves. Do not let yourselves be addicted to ultra-processed foods. Get outside, go in the sun, sleep well, all the things. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.